So out here in Mitch's backyard is one of the hatches to the bomb shelter. Look at it, there's the ladder. This is so heavy. We're in Mitch, our producer's basement right now. And at the end of the basement, here is a door. And so we're going to open this door.
500-pound door.
Okay, a 500-pound door. And there's another door. And here's a bookshelf. So beyond the bookshelf is a bunker. And I have been wanting to shoot in Mitch's bunker for a long time. And I kept thinking, how could we make this relevant? Why would we shoot in a bunker? And we decided that this was the episode to do it because this bunker was built in the 1960s, and it was a response to threat, to fear, to what was going on during the Cold War. And now there are more threats and fear, but also new ideas about how to respond. And although I think bunkers are very coveted right now, it's not the only idea people are having. So you can fully live in here. These are air vents right here. For air circulation. I guess there's water down here. We are underneath the backyard, so this
With 18 inches of concrete.
Yes, all of this right here, you can't even hear it. My voice is echoing, but this is 18 inches of reinforced concrete on the wall, on the ceiling. Here's a hatch to the backyard, should you need to go outside. And here's another hatch here. I think what you'll find in this episode and what we've been finding is that people are searching for new responses, new ideas, new stories to combat the world that we're living in. So here we go. Your shoes are very futuristic or very in the past. I can't tell.
They're from the future.
Are they from the future?
One would think, yeah.
They do look.
Moon boots, yeah.
I love them.
So I'm saying, yeah, my
Your whole wardrobe actually is very.
right, yeah, I'm a soldier from the future.
You might be. Are you jet lagged?
No, I don't really get jet lagged.
You don't. Is that
exist in
a
a
superpower?
permanent state of feeling terrible. Not a superpower at all. It's just that my baseline is so shit that being
Is that what it
jet-lagged
takes to be a
just,
futurist?
being tired helps.
Yes. Okay.
So what's the plan?
Whatever you want it to be. So, I mean, we were here in January, on the 6th of January, actually, looking, and we caught your exhibit.
Okay.
So we have a little scene of that.
Okay.
Okay, let's go in. I think we're looking at versions of the future. So these over here are looking at, they are speculating on what humanity would look like as an environmentally sustainable city of 10 billion. Okay, so this is all the people on Earth all the people on Earth, 10 billion people on Earth within one city. And this is a depiction of what it would look like, but then how dense is this city?
Dense.
I immediately, you think this is the city?
This is the one
here?
that built by taking apart everything else on Earth and making one city.
Okay, so they've taken apart everything, dismantled everything else on Earth, or left it to rewild, and built this one city. Wow. But I guess maybe siloing humans together is
Leave the rest of the planet. Birds and the bees.
Wow, interesting. That's a 10 billion person city. Wow, okay.
So this is the gallery where the Planet City exhibition was.
It was a great exhibition.
And what I did for the Getty show was take my imaginary world, Planet City, a single city for the entire population of the Earth, and invite other artists in to inhabit that city and tell their own stories and make their own projects inside that landscape. So what you saw was Angelica and John making their work here.
Yours was over here.
And then my stuff was here, which was kind of like an introduction to that work.
It took me a while to kind of like, at first I was like 8 million. Oh, that's only 2 more million than, or whatever, it was
Right,
4
billion.
more million. Yeah, no, billion. And I was like, oh my gosh, what would need to precipitate like that happening? You know what I mean? Like I was like that we would decide collectively, we're just gonna go over here and like leave the rest of the world behind.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, right now we have a couple of choices. I mean, we can go extinct and kind of dance our way to the end.
Yeah.
That's one option. And that's kind of the way we're headed right now. The other option is that we limit our population growth. You know, I think what we do now is maybe sustainable at the scale of 3 or 4 billion people, as opposed to 8 to 10 billion people. That looks like, you know, China's one-child policy across the entirety of the Earth for the next couple of generations. But if we don't want to do either of those things, then it means some form of consolidation. Some way of living more compactly, more sustainably, more within our means. But in science fiction, in images of the future, something like density is seen as being dystopian. It's dirty, it's congested, it's not desirable at all. But we need to somehow come to terms with that if we're not going to go extinct. And Planet City is a visualization of how we could live more compactly, in its most extreme form, and still maintain joy.
When we were here last, it was January the 6th, and it was the day before the fires kind of broke out.
Right.
It was just on the eve of the fires, and so we had just seen your a city of 8 billion. How could that possibly happen? And then we were presented with this like cataclysm that kind of, you know, that was LA for the month of January, and continues to be. And so it's almost like we're also filming in Altadena, and there's not a blank slate, but a lot of destruction, a lot of systems that have, you know, houses that are gone. Where do you see kind of your role in like a real life situation? I know you're more in the imaginary, you're trained as a real life architect in these imaginary worlds, but how do you bring that to meet this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think our generation is in desperate need of viable images of what our futures, our hopeful and aspirational futures look like. At the moment, all of the images that we think about when we close our eyes and think about a hopeful future, they're all based in the ideals of the 60s and 70s environmental movement, ideals which, although extraordinary, are no longer fit for purpose. You know, the moment we had in which they might work or be viable, we've long since blown up. And now the scales of action needed are planetary. It's not about recycling our milk cartons or driving an electric car. It's not about growing vegetables in our backyard instead of importing them. It's massive planetary scales of systemic change.
Like you showed in your...
Well, like all my work, I mean, I say that my work right now is about the creation of new planetary imaginaries, trying to create new images of what our futures could be. Because never mind coming to some kind of real action around climate change, we just don't have any shared stories about the world in which we all want to live in that are actually pragmatic and workable and viable, right? Like, never mind doing something about it, we can't actually come to some agreement about what that future we're trying to get to looks like.
So you're creating these kind of future myths?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that there's a very direct relationship between the way that we vision and imagine our futures in the mediums of popular culture and the futures that we end up living within. In a lot of cases, the futures we imagine ultimately become the futures that we live in.
I agree, yeah.
So part of my role then is to work both with Hollywood and the entertainment industry, but also in my own practice to create new images of the future that ultimately I hope water down to lead to new forms of action that might be involved in helping us get there.
Okay,
Right?
I love this idea about, you know, these new narratives that you're trying to build, and whether you're consulting Hollywood studios about what's in the background and the story, right? It's both. Is it story and like
It's a bit of both. I mean,
the world?
We often
Sorry.
but I'm here because I'm interested in the extraordinary audience that popular culture, Hollywood, and so on has access to.
Yeah.
A lot of the narratives that come out of science fiction and cyberpunk from the 1980s have become blueprints for what modern day Silicon Valley and the tech industry are trying to implement. Totally disregarding the fact that a lot of those stories were cautionary tales, but in many ways,
The lesson
like I said,
just tossed out.
like the science fictions of our past become the realities of our future.
This is Reclaimed by Nature in 3 parts, showing 3 scenarios unfolding in California, Alaska, and Oregon, respectively, stitched together from 3D scans of actual topographies that have been subsequently digitally evolved to evoke new strata of landscape mutations. So is this if we did nothing, or if we did...
We got everyone off the planet and put them all in one city and let the rest of the planet go back to a natural state. This is their This is their version of Mother.
Okay. Look, and it's already a franchise, right? It's in Alaska, it's in Oregon, it's in California. Alaska, and then Oregon. Or is this California with the fires? And what are those forces of development at play that can make a place be one thing and then become another thing? And I think that's what we need to look at. What are those driving forces that can change a place, or reshape a place, or mutate a place, or destroy a place?